Hi, welcome to week one of psychometrics. I'm going to provide a brief overview of the chapters for the week. We're going to be looking at chapters one and two and understanding that psychometrics, the tests that we take, have an impact on life. There may be times when your job performance and whether or not you get a position is going to be determined on the basis of a test score. And that's an interesting concept and it logically makes sense. However, there are some concerns about the disadvantages with these standardized tests. The way that they're written tend to discriminate against women and against different disadvantaged populations, minority groups. And that's a very interesting thing to think about. Okay, well, is it right or is it fair that we put so much weight on these psychometric tests when we have an understanding that they're flawed? And it just, again, it goes back to the fact that we are wanting to quantify information. So what is a test? A test is a measure that we use in order to do exactly that. We want to quantify behaviors. We want to be able to take something and make it measurable. And this has very big implications not only for things like job performance in everyday life, it has a lot of significant importance when we look at the field of research when we're developing different treatments, different ideas. We want to be able to quantify that in order to have something tangible. And the second reason why we have tests, they're used to predict the probability of future behaviors. Quantifying behaviors that we know exist, predicting the probability of future behaviors. These projective tests, things such as the SAT, is used not to measure the level of intelligence that you have right now, but it's used as a measure to determine how successful it is predicted that you will do in a college environment. Another element that comprises what a test is that it is made up of these different items. Each item is a separate unit, a separate measurement piece that is used to answer a specific question that they're wanting to define or identify. So a test is a compilation of these different items and these different measures pulled together. And there are many different kinds of tests. Each different kind of test is going to have a specific purpose. And so being able to look at that in the first chapter and understand the different types of tests that are used to gather different types of information will really be helpful in both your understanding of psychometrics and also will have relevance when you're looking at completing your paper for this course, because it'll give you the chance to see, what kind of test am I interested in experimenting with, learning more about throughout the course of this term. And there's a lot of controversies within this testing field. So again, I want to leave you with chapter 1 with this quote on page 22 in your textbook that says, given the attacks on testing and the efforts to prohibit or greatly limit their use, you have the responsibility to yourself and to society to know as much as you can about psychological tests. The future of testing may well depend on you and on people like you. So keep that in mind as you're reading through this test, that this is a changing field. There are some major benefits and there are some drawbacks that are identified, and really you are in a position of power. In gaining this information, it gives you the opportunity to be a critical consumer and potentially have an impact on what testing is going to look like in the future, and that's significant. So keep that in mind throughout the course of this term. Now, also for this week, you'll be looking at Chapter 2. In Chapter 2, everyone take a deep breath. Statistics. Now, I want to remind you, this is not a statistics course. I'm not expecting that you walk out of this class with, all these formulas memorized. But what I really do hope that you can understand, I really would like you to understand these statistical concepts. I would like you to be able to evaluate statistical measures within a test so that you can understand whether they're good statistics or they're bad statistics. And that's going to help determine how much weight you want to put on a specific test or the results of a specific test, because some of you may be evaluating tests in the future. Now, the other thing that's really important is just this overall critical thinking about tests. That's going to be more possible when you have a foundational understanding of statistical measures and what those statistical measures mean. And this week you'll have an activity where you'll get to practice basic statistical measures in order to become more familiar with them and to be able to understand how statistics are used in order to describe data. And now each statistical concept equates to a different presentation and understanding of information. So again, it's so important that you have a foundational understanding of statistics so that you can understand, okay, well, when I use a z-score and I use these specific tests on that z-score, this is the picture that it paints of that information. Now, if I go with a t-scale and these different measures here, it may look like a different picture. And so there's flexibility. A good statistician can manipulate this information in such a way to have it say a multitude of different things. So for you to have knowledge is power, giving you the ability to have critical thinking about tests so that you can be a smart consumer. So that's what we're going to be covering in this week. I hope that you enjoy what you're learning. Okay, I'll see you next week.